Making headlines tonight, Barbados has not declared a dengue outbreak like some of its neighbors in the region. The Environment and National Beautification Minister addresses concerns about garbage collection delays. The Transport Board responds to suggestions there's a shortage of buses. And in sports, the BCA Legends Cup bowled off today with wins for the Giants and Titans.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
A very good evening to you with this Tuesday edition of CBC NewsNight. I'm Ryan Broom. In our top story, Barbados is not having an outbreak of dengue. The assurance tonight from Senior Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Leslie Rollock. She sat down for an exclusive interview with our Sharika Griffith.
While regional neighbors like Guadeloupe, Martinique, and most recently Jamaica have declared dengue outbreaks, Barbados remains in the clear.
Barbados is having cases, but we are not having an outbreak.
Dr. Leslie Rollock is the Senior Medical Officer of Health with responsibility for surveillance, epidemiology, communicable disease, and environmental matters. She says while dengue numbers typically rise during the wet season, current figures have not surpassed the seasonal average to indicate an outbreak.
We've had 427 suspected cases compared to 226 last year for the same period. But for confirmed cases, we've only had 19 so far. And last year there weren't any. Because we didn't have any cases last year, it seems like a lot. But over the last 10 years of monitoring, is not even close to the average for this time of year.
What health officials are concerned about is the confirmation that 2 of the 4 dengue serotypes are presently circulating.
Once you've been infected with one serotype and your immune system remains strong, you will not be infected by that serotype again. But there are 3 others, so that you can be infected by any of the other 3. And once you get the second type, the antibodies that your body developed to the first type may not be as, what we call efficient, neutralizing, to help you deal with the second serotype without symptoms. And some of the persons that get a second infection have an exaggerated response, and those are the ones that tend to have severe dengue. So if you have 2 circulating types, it means that at this time, persons can get dengue twice.
Noting that mosquitoes develop to biting maturity faster when it's hot, Dr. Rollock is urging Barbadians to check around their homes for mosquito breeding sites, wear loose clothing that covers their bodies, and use insect repellents that contain DEET and Picardin, 2 effective insect repellents. She confirms the ministry's fogging program is activated as needed.
Fogging is triggered by specific things like cases in a particular locality, mosquito complaints in a particular locality, and it would have to be above the threshold. So if there's a case and we go to the address and we see the person breeding mosquitoes, what we do is we get rid of the larvae. And the adult mosquitoes may not be so great that you need to actually fog, because fogging only kills adult mosquitoes. Okay. So the threshold has not been reached to say that we'll be doing a fogging program, a wide-scale fogging program at this time.
Dr. Rollock says for the current monitoring period, August to September, there have been no dengue-related deaths, but there have been a few hospitalizations. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. Well, the Sanitation Service Authority says its garbage collection efforts are being hampered by problems getting spare parts for its fleet of trucks. Minister of Environment and National Beautification, Adrian Ford, says Barbados is not alone and, like the rest of the world, is affected by logistics and supply chain issues brought on by the war in Ukraine. Now, he's apologized to Barbadians for the delays in garbage pickups.
We have started a process of procuring parts from overseas, but there have been challenges, difficulties getting those parts in Barbados. But we are working assiduously with our suppliers overseas to ensure that within the next couple of months or so that we have our fleet back up to the numbers of around 35 to 40, which is expected to be able to meet our mandate.
And the minister says a robust repair program for the trucks is underway, bolstered by help from the Maria Holder Foundation. However, he's also asking Barbadians to cooperate with personnel from the Sanitation Service Authority as they do their job across the island.
In the same way that you want your garbage collected, hopefully I would think that you will make all efforts to ensure that those workers are able to get to the cans so they can do their duty and allow this country to remain clean, beautiful, and healthy. And that is a small ask from me as minister. Try as much as possible to either park the cars in a way that the trucks can get through, or when the guys ask to remove the vehicles, please accommodate them. That's all I'm asking Barbadians to do.
Now, also at that press conference, Minister Ford also addressed concerns raised in the Auditor General's report about the National Conservation Commission and payment for services rendered. Again, Trevor Thorpe reports.
According to Minister Ford, only some of the information in the report has been highlighted, and it's critical Barbadians be provided with the facts.
The entity was paid over $300,000 between January and December 2022, the period under review for this service. The Auditor General has it right here. Over $300,000. The correct figure, based on the special audit, and all this information is here so that the public can have access to, is $432,000, 641. $432,641. That is the figure that was paid. It is in the special audit report given to the ministry.
He says a new accounting system is in place which ensures the provisions which govern government's procurements under the Public Finance Management Act are followed at all times.
That a review of the information provided by the accounts personnel to the auditors revealed that there were a number of errors with the information presented in the board's report. There were errors being made. In some instances, records for invoices were replicated, duplicated, triplicated sometimes. So their totals were entered, unfortunately, more than once, thereby resulting in the inflated amount of $1,553,402.
In addition, the minister says there is now cooperation from vendors who have come on board to assist the ministry in its efforts.
We have put measures in place. The board has responded based on the report with alacrity. I just decided today to bring the facts because there were a lot of misinformation in the public. I would invite persons to go and read the report.
The minister says the board of the National Conservation Commission and management are working to ensure its procurement process is managed in accordance with good corporate government processes and in accordance with the relevant laws. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Thanks, Trevor. In other news now, the Transport Board says there's no truth to suggestions there's an issue with availability of buses. Democratic Labour Party leader Dr. Ronnie Yearwood recently suggested no progress has been made as it relates to buses, claiming there were only 65 on the road. However, Chief Operations Officer of the Transport Board, Linda Holder, says that could not be further from the truth. According to her, the number of buses and the service from the Transport Board have significantly improved.
Today alone, here at the Transport Board, we would have had 74 buses on the road, and that has nothing at all to do with the TAP program. Now, you would recall that we introduced the TAP program to give us additional capacity. So even if you're only counting the Transport Board blue and yellow buses, you still must remember that we have additional capacity with the TAP buses. So when we had 74 buses today on the road from the Transport Board blue and yellow buses, we also had 55 TAP buses. That gives us 129 buses on the road to service our communities. And that is not even the full complement of TAP or Transport Board buses, because you would remember that we follow a strict servicing program with our buses.
Ms. Holder adds it's important to remember that prior to the electric buses being introduced in 2018, there were no new buses since 2006.
What we're offering the community is, when you look at where we have come from, it is much better. In 2018, when we were getting discussions happening about getting new buses, we were having something like 43 buses on the road in total. We have definitely improved on those days. Do we have it right? Not yet. We're still working on it. And yes, there are some challenges, but it is a work in progress, and we are making strides to correct all of the issues that we had before.
Well, coming up, a lucky woman collects over $300,000 in Mega 6 winnings. The police tonight are probing a suspected drowning of a man at the popular Browns Beach in St. Michael. And a natural death investigation has been launched after the body, later identified as Tony Lane of Pipers Avenue, Bayland, St. Michael, was pulled from the water this morning. Police in a statement say a group of beachgoers who were swimming noticed an object floating in the water about 5:35 a.m. and upon investigation discovered it was a human body. Lane's body was then pulled from the water and onto the sand. A medical doctor pronounced death at the scene, and the body was identified by a friend. Well, 2 women have been granted bail and 1 man remanded to Dodds Prison after being arrested in connection with several offenses, including serious bodily harm, burglary, theft, and money laundering. The individuals are 46-year-old Cheryl Patricia Holder, 22-year-old Tia Azaria Gibson, and 29-year-old Wayne Jabari Holder. They all reside at Kelman's Land, Black Rock, St. Michael. The offenses were committed in June and September this year. The 3 appeared before Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks in the District A Magistrates Court yesterday. Holder and Gibson have both been granted bail in the sum of $10,000 and are scheduled to reappear on Monday, 23rd October this year. Well, there's growing concern tonight about the increasing number of abandoned and derelict structures which have been targets for fires in recent times. This from Station Officer at the Barbados Fire Service Bridgetown Headquarters, Roger Bourne. He says they have sought meetings with the relevant state agencies to see what could be done in addressing the situation. Station Officer Bourne made the remarks as members of the Barbados Fire Service visited the community of Britain's Hill in St. Michael, dispensing smoke alarms to some homeowners deemed the most vulnerable within that community.
There are persons who just abandon houses, and then undesirable people come, move into the houses, and sometimes they do some strange things like putting in food, roasting bright fruit and stuff like that within the homes and causing the homes to burn down. So we work in conjunction with the Department of Emergency Management and the DO's local district organization so that they can identify these vulnerable people and also to identify these homes that are abandoned and see if we can work with the Ministry of Health to see if we can do a cleanup situation going on.
And Station Officer Bourne noted the activity was just a part of their community outreach fire prevention campaign.
There are 3 houses that have persons who live alone. There's one who is wheelchair bound that has home help coming in on a daily basis, and we just want to make sure that these individuals have some sort of early warning device so that even if they themselves are not able, their neighbors, because this is a close-knit community, their neighbors will be able to assist them where possible of getting out of their homes so that they can remain safe.
Happy, excited, elated. Those are the emotions winning $390,000 will generate. And indeed, that is exactly how June Tate felt on discovering her Mega 6 jackpot haul. Now today, Ms. Tate collected her quick pick winnings from the Barbados Lottery officials at One Boscobel Plaza.
Frank, time I found out, had it taken about 2 weeks before I checked it. And when I found out, I said, straight in lottery.
Having won, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Going to work tomorrow. Self-employed, going to work tomorrow. Just press it there until I decide what I'm going to do with it. Right now, it's just rest, lie down a little bit.
What's the mood like among the family and yourself?
Everybody's excited. Everybody's excited. So we just sitting down and studying what we can do. We ain't put nothing yet. and say what we know exactly yet.
An owner of One Basketball Plaza, Sam Lane, says this is the second time a winning Mega 6 ticket has been bought at his establishment.
I'm very excited and happy for the winners, that we can bring a wave of opportunities and luck and fortune to the new winners here from the lottery. Very appreciative the day that the guys from the lotto brought that machine here, Mario in particular. And it definitely has brought opportunity for people to gain some finance and strengthen their financial position. So I'm very, very happy and excited. As a matter of fact, they're looking now to win the Mega 6, because this is the second time that, the Super Lotto, because this is the second time the Mega 6 was won here. So we can see probably a tsunami now, because there were waves of good luck coming right here to One Basketball Complex. So we're looking for a tsunami, we're looking for the Super Lotto to be won here next.
Heartiest congratulations to Ms. Tate. Well, female entrepreneurs from Barbados stand to benefit from the launch of a new regional trade initiative. The She Trades Caribbean Hub is a resource center to connect Caribbean women entrepreneurs to global markets and build a stronger trade network across the region. The initiative is a collaborative 2-year program supported by the International Trade Center and is being implemented by the Caribbean Development Bank. With 14 hubs across 30 countries, it will work, among other things, to secure government contracts, strike business deals, and enable market access. Executive Director Pamela Koch Hamilton says the region has potential and is confident the hub will help with the growth of businesses.
I'd like to emphasize that the hub is not made up of only one institution, but instead revolves and involves a devoted community of partners, which includes governments, private sector, and financial institutions. And that's because our research has shown that a team effort is what is required to ensure that women's empowerment actually works. I encourage everyone here to rethink how we can work together to make inclusive trade a driving force behind achieving the SDGs.
And the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, or ICA, is working to ensure the agricultural sector in Barbados and other countries in the region contribute to reducing carbon emissions. ICA, through a Caribbean Climate Responsive Agricultural Forum, has been examining the sectors of various countries and their nationally determined contributions, or NDCs. It has been detailing what they will do to help meet the global goal agreed to in the Paris Agreement. ICA representative to Barbados, Alistair Glean, says agriculture is one of the most at-risk sectors to climate change.
Of course, we know that agriculture is a carbon sink. We can contribute more than we take out. This forum seeks to undertake dialogue across the various countries in the region. In fact, we have representatives from all over the Caribbean that are here to undertake dialogue to see how best we can position agriculture as a contributor to these NDCs.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Well, it's time now for our first look at sports, so we head over to the sports studio and say good evening to Anne-Marie Burke.
Good evening to you, Ryan, and we start with news of cricket. Garfield Sobers Giants registered a 2-wicket victory over Gordon Greenwich Trailblazers on the opening day of the Barbados Cricket Association's Legends Cup at Weymouth. Sending to bat first, the Trailblazers were bowled out for 223 in 43.4 overs, thanks to a 5-wicket haul from leg spinner Joshua Bishop, who had figures of 5 for 18. Nico Boucher top scored with 40, while Kevin Wickham added 33. In reply, the Giants got up to 225 for 8 in 38.5 overs. Rashawn Worrell top scored with 45 off 61 balls, while fellow opener Zachary McCaskey was unbeaten on 32. Joma Warikan was the pick of the bowlers, capturing 3 for 32 in 10 overs. CBC's Admar Goodrich Boyce reports.
We pick up the action with the score of 162 for 5. Kevin Wickham is in no-nonsense mode. He dances down the wicket to Nathan Seeley. That's a big maximum. Well, 2 deliveries later, Wickham goes down on one knee. Not to propose, but to smash Seeley through the onside for a much-needed boundary. Wickham's partner, Amari Goodridge, was in and out, falling victim to this beauty of a ball from Seeley. Through the gates, Goodridge is gone for 2. So Gordon Greenwich Trailblazers 167 for 6. Spinner Joshua Bishop was the main destroyer for the Sugarfield Sobers Giants, and there was no surprise when he had Wickham caught behind. Wickham stops and stares in disbelief, but he has to go. The score now 167 for 7. That brought Jamel Warrican to the crease, and he wasted no time, hitting Javed Leacock over the top and into the parking lot for 6 runs. Warrican was definitely enjoying Leacock's bowling, finding the gaps and playing this one down to the boundary for 4 more. He didn't last much longer though, attempting to block, but instead Warrican edged to slip and Leacock had his man caught 196 for 8. The new batsman Romario Graves was off to a supreme start, lifting Seeley up into the air, 1 bounce, 4 runs. Chad Williams was the next wicket to fall, looking to drive off Leacock, but he can only find Rashad Worrell at slip, and he can't even believe it. 210 for 9. Leacock now to Graves, dispatch, 1 bounce over the ropes for 4. The curtain came down with this delivery. Kemar Smith to Stephon King, loud appeals for LBW. The finger finally goes up. King has to depart as Sir Gordon Greenwich Trailblazers were all out for 223. Anmar Goodrich Boys, CBC Sports.
Now, meantime, at KMV Oval, Sir Charles Griffith Titans defeated Sir Wesley Hall Chiefs by 5 runs. Opener Seth Agard and Shakiri Paris both hit half centuries as the Titans finished on 258 for 8 after winning the toss and batting first. In reply, the Chiefs were all out for 253 despite an impressive score of 84 from Shane Brathwaite and a half century from Shaquille Cumberbatch. The big news out of the Barbados camp at the Scottish Draughts Open is that Jack Francis defeated Ronald Suki King in round 4 of today's action at the Royal Legion British Hall in Stonehaven. Francis enjoyed a good outing as in round 3 he was also winner when he defeated Joe Salone of Ireland 2-0. King would have drawn his 3rd round match with defending champion Shane McCosker of Scotland. The other Barbadian, Kent Lane, drew both of his games in round 3 with Peter Kierans and round 4 with Bill Dobbins. After the 4 rounds of competition, Francis is joint first on 12 points with McCosker, while King is 1 point behind on 11. The competition continues tomorrow.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
Well, in this week's Yes Business Report, we're being told about how scores of young people have been making good use of their second chance to gain academic qualifications. A graduation ceremony was recently held for those who successfully completed their studies while enrolled with the Barbados Youth Advance Corps.
Participants of Cohort 4 of the Barbados Youth Advance Corps have gained qualifications in the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, and City and Guilds. Jerome Ruck admits it was not an easy task.
The world out there is not an easy place, especially for us as young people. We are often faced with negativity and condemnation from some people in our society. Additionally, there are bad influences woven in sheep clothing and so many other distractions, temptations that sometimes offer what seems to be the sweet life, the easy way out. But the old adage goes, everything that glitters is not gold. However, we are here today because we ignored the naysayers, the negative influences, and we persevered. We succeeded. We defied the odds that were stacked against us. And we are here this blessed evening because we came out as conquering lions on top and ready to face the world.
Ruck thanked the tutors, counselors, wardens and other staff, some of whom he said went above and beyond the call of duty. Jeremiah Mears says he's experienced personal growth. Based on the training he's received, Mears has set his sights on a potential career.
You can see I was a sign baby. The sea did not see me at all. They taught us how to swim in deep waters and how to rescue people from the water. It was challenging, but I achieved it. I haven't told him this, But I was proud. It was my proudest moment in my life when my eldest brother realized that I could swim and how confident I was in the water. The learning experiences and skills I have learned along with the first aid training has really opened up my career options. I believe I would make an excellent lifeguard.
And Minister of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, Charles Griffith, encouraged the graduates to use the opportunity as a stepping stone.
There's a reason why the rearview mirror is smaller than the windscreen, because you don't need to check so much on what is happening in the past. The windshield is big enough for you to see and imagine your future, as the youngster mentioned here just now. And government, through my ministry, is making all of the necessary steps to ensure that we keep the windshield shine and clear, crystal clear, for you to see what is available if you decide to step up, if you decide to take the second chance that is offered in our programs.
To date, students have gained 590 passes in the CSEC program in subjects such as English language, office administration, and physical education, while there have been 137 passes in City and Guilds English and Maths. Sharika Griffith for the Yes Business Report.
Well, it's time now for our final look at sports. So we head back over to the sports studio and welcome back Amory Burke. Amory, you promised us some road tennis.
Oh, yes, Ray. And the quarterfinals is almost on up in the Barbados Road Tennis Open 2023 after most of the round of 16 matches were completed at the Dighton Power Roach facility in Bush Hall. CBC's Damien Best has the action.
Dighton Power Roach facility in Bush Hall, the home of road tennis on the island. Let's start with the ladies. Marveline Neblett in the far court playing Maria Cumberbatch. Neblett standing tall and punching off the front foot. Cumberbatch showing excellent powers of defense. Neblett would make amends, comes inside the court this time, showing her agility. This one proved to be a brilliant precursor for the rest of the fixtures. Neblett not holding back. The first game, just like the second, was close. Cumberbatch was merely benefiting from unforced errors and vice versa. Eventually, Neblett going on to secure this one in two straight, 21-18, 21-18. Well, Gaylan Edwards produced the upset of the ladies section against Rachel Smith, closest to the screen. Edwards edged Smith, moving from 10-6 to 21-19 in the first. In the second we go, Smith hit back 21-13, looked more confident in her stroke play and used the angles consistently. It was now down to a third and decisive game, this one on a knife's edge. Edwards pumped up at the prospect of advancing on the money. With the crowd behind her, Edwards must be commended for remaining focused. With nimble footwork and good racket speed, it meant Smith was never allowed to dictate proceedings. This one going in favor of Edwards. Game point coming up. Smith hanging on by a fingernail. Left with too much to do in the end. 21-12 to Edwards. Victorious over Rachel Smith. On to the men's section. Darius Baracus Gaskin sent Seth Best in white packing in two straight. Gaskin was given a license to use that forward arm a little too much, and Best paid the price, 21-14. Can Gaskin live up to his potential in 2023? Well, we'll wait and see. Second game was over at 21-15. Let's skip ahead now to the final two installments. The legend, Anton Lilman Daniel in white versus Anderson Harris. The engine room was a little cold in the first game, and Daniel picked out the advertising on several occasions. Credit to Harris, who showed real grit and determination, moving in and out of the court, trying to nullify multiple efforts by Daniel. Actually, this one was locked at 19, 20, and 21 apiece. Things not as clear-cut as the stat sheet would suggest. But Harris will be richly rewarded for his bravery. Just look at the movement, getting nice and low before coming inside and delivering the dagger. Harris wins the first, 23-21, road tennis at its finest. We all knew that the second and third games will be the real test of Harris's ability. Daniel mixing up his deliveries before going to the power bank and making a withdrawal. Once the GPS was locked in, Lil Man went ahead at 17-12, and there was no way he will leave Harris any wiggle room, closing out the second 21-12. The third was more rapid fire, style and flair on display. Within the twinkle of an eye, Daniel had a handy lead, and he sought to deter any false notions that he had met a worthy adversary. Without too much fuss, Daniel sped to victory in blistering fashion, 21-13 in the third, out in the flames of Harris, who can still boast he took a set off of one of the favourites. The final match of the night was also an upset of sorts. Mosiah Williams in the far court was pushed all the way by Ezekiel Ward before prevailing. His dogged determination, coupled with footwork and a lapse of concentration from Ward at critical stages, gave plenty food for thought, and Williams pleased his punch, so to the spectators, as he went on to win 21-23, 21-15, 24-22.
Thanks, Damien. Our two final rescheduled matches will be played tonight. Shaquem Nurse versus Marson Johnson, and Davian Forsyth Taylor up against Julian Michael Jackson White.
And that's our news package. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for being with us over the past hour, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.